This New Mexico Sheriff's Department is the definition of corruption.
The former sheriff in Rio Arriba County is heading to prison for a decade after a road rage incident.
Soon after.
James Lujan has been sentenced to 3 years in prison.
Later.
The district attorney's office is being asked to look into whether the undersheriff committed criminal acts.
Our story starts with the former sheriff of Rio Arriba, who is Thomas Rodella. And before he was a sheriff, he was appointed to fill a vacant seat for the Rio Arriba County Magistrate Court. And he was appointed to that position by the then New Mexico governor, Bill Richardson. And just 4 months later, Bill Richardson asked for Rodella's resignation. And the reason why is because Rodella went down to a county jail and demanded the release of an acquaintance that was suspected of drunk driving. And Rodella did not step down, but instead he would go on to be re-elected. But he was removed from the bench in 2008 by the New Mexico Supreme Court due to misconduct. And then he became sheriff in 2010, and he ran against many opponents, but he also ran against then Rio Arriba Deputy James Lujan. And I want you to remember that name because that guy and this former sheriff have a kind of funny connection. And so when Rodella became sheriff, he would go on to immediately fire Deputy Lujan. And the reason why he fired Lujan is because he suspected the deputy had interfered with a DWI case where the sheriff wasn't allowing this deputy to arrest someone who had been clearly drinking and driving. And so Lujan was reinstated as a deputy back in 2014. And during that same year, Thomas Rodella and his son were both arrested by the FBI. And the reason why is because it was in relations to a road rage incident in which Rodella and his son assaulted someone. And then Deputy James Lujan ran against this man and then became sheriff. And so the new sheriff was the sheriff of Rio Arriba for about 6 years. And then he too was arrested because he was obstructing a police officer. And so we find out that the former Espanola city councilman, whose name is John Ramon Vigil, actually called Sheriff Lujan because he was being served with a search warrant for a separate case. And so Lujan actually tried to help interfere on behalf of this corrupt politician. And when this former sheriff was served with papers himself, he and his officers drew their guns and formed a perimeter, and the whole scenario almost ended in gunfire. But he was taken into custody. And even the undersheriff actually retired this year because if he retired, he could avoid criminal charges himself.
Business as usual.